In the late 1960s, a phantom killer prowled the streets of Northern California, leaving behind a trail of blood, cryptic messages, and unrelenting fear. He called himself the Zodiac, a name that still sends chills down the spine. His crimes were brutal, his taunts were brazen, and his identity remains one of the greatest mysteries in criminal history. Welcome to Unsolved Crimes That Still Haunt Us Today. In this extended deep dive, we're unraveling the enigma of the Zodiac Killer, a case that's haunted investigators, codebreakers, and the public for over half a century. Who was he, and why does his shadow still linger? This isn't just a crime story. It's a puzzle that's defied the world's best minds for decades. From cryptic ciphers to taunting letters, the Zodiac turned murder into a twisted game. So, settle in, because we're about to take a long, chilling journey into the heart of this unsolved mystery. Let's begin. To understand the Zodiac's terror, we need to know his victims not just as names in a case file, but as people with K-Kwa, with people with Kwa, with Kalo Sile with, Bikal with Kalo, Bikaling Kalo Silv. It's Pilo City. We were Splore Seasend, Kor Malai. We were Saplace to praise a city. We subid with Saplace about Kamud. It's a core with Kawid. Arpa free sawi to la to soa Clyde, Kasabritide, Kawi whistle like they kalida to pie to sequoia it's uit kisai lips. To ketapit to sisai to sift to get to sit to cook but I put cut kissed with the litip kiss the pitist to the dreams, families, and lives cut short. The late 1960s in Northern California was a time of transformation. The summer of love had painted San Francisco with hope and rebellion. But by 1968, a darker undercurrent was emerging. The Bay Area was a patchwork of small towns and big dreams, where young people cruised lovers' lanes and hung out at drive-ins, chasing freedom and romance. Betty Lou Jensen, just 16, was a cheerful high school junior in Vallejo. She loved music and dreamed of becoming a teacher. David Faraday, 17, was her boyfriend, a senior with a passion for cars and a protective streak. They were the kind of couple you'd see sharing a milkshake at the local diner, planning their future. Darlene Farron, 22, was a lively waitress at a Vallejo diner, known for her infectious laugh and kind heart. Married to Dean Farron, she was a young mother, balancing work and family while still finding time to socialize. Michael Mago, 19, was her friend, a carefree young man who loved the thrill of a night out. Then there were Cecilia Shepard, 22, and Brian Hartnell, 20, college students at Pacific Union College. Cecilia was studying music with a gentle spirit and a love for nature. Brian, a pre-law student, was charismatic and driven. They were enjoying a quiet picnic by Lake Berryessa, lost in conversation when their lives changed forever. These victims weren't famous. They were ordinary people, teenagers, young adults, friends, and lovers caught in moments of joy or quiet connection. Their world was one of drive-in movies, rock and roll, and the promise of tomorrow. But the Zodiac saw them as pieces in his deadly game, and his attacks would shatter the innocence of the Bay Area forever. The Zodiac didn't just steal lives. He stole a sense of safety from an entire community. These were people with futures, with stories, and their loss still echoes today. Let's walk step by step through the Zodiac's confirmed attacks, a series of cold, calculated strikes that left the Bay Area reeling. The first came on December 20th, 1968, on a quiet lover's lane in Benicia, just outside Vallejo. Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday had just left a Christmas concert, excited for their first official date. It was a chilly night, perfect for parking and talking under the stars. Around 11 p.m., a car pulled up nearby. A man stepped out, approached their vehicle, and fired multiple shots through the window. David was killed instantly. Betty Lou tried to flee, but was gunned down in the road. The killer vanished before police arrived, leaving no fingerprints. No motive, just chaos. 7 months later, the Zodiac struck again. Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau were parked in Blue Rock Springs Park, a popular spot for young couples. It was just past midnight, fireworks still echoing from Independence Day celebrations. A car pulled up, its headlights blinding. Approached, shone a flashlight into their car, and opened fire without warning. Darlene was hit multiple times and died. Michael, riddled with bullets, miraculously survived. He described the attacker, a white man, stocky, about 5'8", wearing glasses, his face obscured by the night. The Zodiac's next attack was his most theatrical. Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell were picnicking on a quiet peninsula at Lake Berryessa. Around 6:30 p.m., a man approached. Wearing a bizarre hooded costume with a white cross-circle symbol on the chest, he claimed to be an escaped convict, demanding their money and car. He tied them up with rope, spoke calmly, then pulled a knife. He stabbed Brian 6 times and Cecilia 10, leaving them for dead. Brian survived. Cecilia died 2 days later in the hospital. The killer left a message scrawled on their car door, claiming responsibility and listing his earlier crimes. Each attack was brazen, carried out in public places where the Zodiac could have been caught. Yet he left no trace, no clear motives. Fear. His methods were evolving, and his confidence was growing. The Zodiac's crimes sparked one of the largest manhunts in California history. Vallejo Police, Napa County Sheriff's Office, and San Francisco PD formed a loose task force, desperate to stop the killer. The first break came from Michael Mageau, the Vallejo survivor. He described a stocky white man, 25 to 30 years old, with short hair and glasses, a vague sketch that could fit countless men. Brian Hartnell, surviving the Lake Berryessa attack, added details. The killer's voice was calm, almost monotone, and his costume suggested planning, not impulse. Show a reenactment of a police call center. Phones ringing off the hook. The Zodiac didn't just kill, he reached out. After the Vallejo attack, he called police from a payphone, his voice eerily calm, claiming responsibility and mocking their efforts. Then came the letters, starting in August 1969. Sent to the San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco Examiner, and Vallejo Times-Herald. Signed with the cross-circle symbol, they were filled with boasts, threats, and ciphers, complex puzzles of strange symbols. He demanded publication, or he'd kill again. Zoom in on the 408 cipher. Split into 3 parts. The first cipher, known as the 408, was a game-changer. A schoolteacher, Donald Harden, and his wife Betty cracked it in days. The message was, chilling. I like killing people because it is so much fun. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife. It offered no identity, just a glimpse into a twisted mind. Other letters followed, including one claiming responsibility for a San Francisco cab driver's murder in October 1969, proving the Zodiac's reach extended beyond couples. Show a photo of Arthur, Lee Allen, and other suspects. Suspects emerged. Quickly, Arthur Lee Allen, a Vallejo resident with a criminal record, became the prime focus. He owned a Zodiac brand watch with a cross-circle logo, lived near the crime scenes, and matched the physical description. Police searched his home and questioned him. But handwriting samples didn't match the Zodiac's letters, and no hard evidence tied him to the crimes. Other suspects included a sailor, a drifter, and even a local businessman, but none panned. Outwitnesses, like 3 teens who saw a strange man near Lake Berryessa, provided sketches, but they were inconsistent. The investigation was drowning in tips, over 2,500 by 1970, but no clear answers. The police were chasing a phantom. The Zodiac's letters and ciphers gave them clues, but they also led to obsession, frustration, and a growing sense that he was toying with them. The Zodiac case was a labyrinth of false hopes. The ciphers, while tantalizing, often led nowhere. The 340 cipher sent in November 1969 baffled experts for decades. When it was finally cracked in 2020, it revealed more taunts. "I'm not afraid of the gas chamber, but no name, no identity." Handwriting analysis, a key tool at the time, ruled out promising suspects like Arthur Lee Allen. Searches of his home found nothing conclusive: no costume, no murder weapons. Other suspects came and went. A man named Rick Marshall, a San Francisco projectionist, was investigated because he lived near the cab driver murder. A drifter named Lawrence Kane was linked by a victim's sister, but evidence was circumstantial. Even a cryptic letter hinting at a connection to a missing girl, Sherry Jo Bates, in Riverside, led to a dead end when police couldn't confirm the Zodiac's involvement. The emotional toll was immense. Detectives like Dave Toschi, who led the San Francisco investigation, became consumed, their careers defined by failure. Families of the victims Betty Lou's parents, Darlene's daughter, pleaded for closure. But the Zodiac's careful methods left little to work with. The community suffered too. Vallejo, once a quiet town, became synonymous with fear. Parents kept teens home. Lovers' lanes emptied. The Zodiac's letters kept the panic alive, with threats of bombs and school bus attacks that never materialized, but sowed terror. The Zodiac wasn't just a killer, he was a puppet master, pulling strings to keep the police and public in a state of dread, always one step ahead. For years, the Zodiac case seemed frozen in time, a relic of the 1960s. But breakthroughs kept the hope of answers alive. In December 2020, a team of amateur codebreakers, David Orenchuk, Sam Blake, and Jarl Van Eyck, cracked the 340 cipher after 51 years. The message was a taunt. "I am not afraid of the gas chamber. I kill for pleasure." It confirmed the Zodiac's arrogance but offered no name. Still, it reignited interest in the case. Advances in forensic science brought new promise. By the 2010s, DNA analysis and genetic genealogy techniques that caught the Golden State Killer were applied to the Zodiac case. Investigators revisited evidence like stamps on the Zodiacs, letters hoping for saliva traces. In 2021, a group called the Casebreakers claimed they'd identified the Zodiac as Gary Post, a man with scars matching witness descriptions and alleged ties to a killing crew. But law enforcement dismissed it. No DNA match, no solid proof. The real breakthrough wasn't a name, it was understanding the Zodiac's mind. His letters revealed a motive: control and fame. He didn't just want to kill, he wanted to be feared, remembered. The ciphers, the costumes, the public taunts, they were all part of a performance. Experts now believe he may have had a military or cryptographic background, given the complexity of his codes. But this clue deepened the mystery. Why did the letters stop after 1974? Did he die? Was he arrested for another crime? Or did he simply tire of the game? This is where the Zodiac case defies every crime story you know. There was no arrest, no trial, no justice. The killer slipped through every trap set for him. Arthur Lee Allen, the prime suspect, was questioned multiple times. Police found suspicious items: a typewriter, a knife, but nothing definitive. He died in 1992, taking any secrets with him. Other suspects, from Rick Marshall to Gary Post, were investigated, but none were charged. The Zodiac's boast in his letters, "You'll never catch me," became a grim prophecy. By the mid-1970s, the investigation slowed. The letters tapered off. With the last confirmed one in 1974, some theorized the Zodiac was jailed for unrelated crimes, like theft or assault, and couldn't write. Others believe he died or fled the country. A few even speculate he stopped killing to watch the chaos he'd created. Detectives like Dave Toschi and Ken Narlow spent decades on the case, retiring with nothing but frustration. The lack of closure wasn't just a failure of justice, it was a victory for the Zodiac, who wanted to be a legend. The Zodiac didn't just evade capture. He rewrote the rules of crime, turning his case into an unsolvable riddle that mocked everyone who tried to solve it. The Zodiac's crimes left scars that never faded. For the victims' families, the pain is eternal. Betty Lou Jensen's parents kept her room untouched, a frozen tribute to their daughter. Darlene Ferrin's daughter, Dina, grew up without her mother's warmth, haunted by unanswered questions. Cecilia Shepard's family spoke of her love for music, a talent silenced too soon. Brian Hartnell, a survivor, lived with the trauma of that day at Lake Berryessa, forever changed. The Bay Area was transformed. Vallejo, once a sleepy town, became synonymous with terror. Lovers' lanes, once romantic escapes, were abandoned as fear took root. San Francisco's free-spirited vibe darkened. People locked doors, carried weapons, and eyed strangers with suspicion. The Zodiac's threats of bombs and school attacks, though unfulfilled, kept the panic alive for years. The Zodiac's legacy endures in ways he likely craved. His case inspired films like Zodiac 2007, countless books, and even amateur sleuth communities online. But for the families, it's not entertainment. It's a wound that never heals. The case also changed policing. The Zodiac ciphers and psychological games pushed the development of criminal profiling and forensic science, though those advances came too late for his victims. The Zodiac didn't just kill, he altered lives, communities, and the course of criminal investigation. His shadow lingers, a reminder of the darkness one person can unleash. The Zodiac killer remains a phantom, his identity hidden in a maze of ciphers and secrets. Is he still out there, watching from the shadows? Did he die, taking his truth to the grave? Or is the answer buried in a clue we've overlooked for decades? One thing is certain: his crimes still haunt us, a puzzle that refuses to be solved. What do you think? Will we ever unmask the Zodiac? Could he be someone we've already named, like Arthur Lee Allen? Or is the truth still waiting in those cryptic letters? Drop your theories in the comments and tell us which unsolved mystery you want us to tackle next. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more chilling deep dives. Until next time, stay curious and maybe double-check your locks.